Hi! Have you been recently diagnosed with ADHD? Or maybe you just suspect that might be the problem? Well, you're in the right place. Because in this video, I'm going to walk you through the top 10 things that I wish somebody had told me when I was first diagnosed. So let's get started. Number 1 is to know your strengths. I know this may seem obvious to a lot of people, but ADHDers experience 20,000 more instances of negative feedback before we even reach adolescence. That means that we carry around a lot of shame about what we can't do well. Knowing what we can do well counteracts that. The best way to figure it out, if you don't know where to start, is the VIA character strengths test. You can find it online, it's free, and that's going to help you identify exactly what your core values and strengths are. Number 2, exercise. I know this upsets a lot of people, whether it's because they have a disability that makes exercise difficult, or it's just not a part of their lifestyle. Either way, exercise can be hugely beneficial to the ADHD brain. In fact, studies show that exercise can be as effective as stimulant medication. If that's not a good enough reason to get you off the couch, I don't know what is. There's an excellent book called Spark by Dr. Ratey that talks about the benefits of exercise for everybody. But specifically for ADHDers, it's recommended that we get at least 2 hours a day. And I know that's not possible for most of us. But if you can just try to do a little bit more every day, then you're going to see the benefits. One of the most important aspects of the exercise that we do is that it needs to be not just cardio or strength training. It actually needs to involve complex movements, such as martial arts or dance. This combination of exercise and mental stimulation, that's what's really going to make those connections happen in our brain and help us with our ADHD. Number 3 is habit stacking. This is talked about in the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. The idea is that habits are difficult to create, but once a habit is established, you can add things to it to make it easier to remember that extra part. So for instance, if you're the sort of person that makes your bed every morning, not me, but some of you out there might, and you want to start a habit of reading in the evenings, putting your book on your pillow after you've made your bed is going to be easier to remember. And when you get into bed, your book being there acts as a reminder that you wanted to read. The important thing to remember as an ADHDer is that we don't ever establish a habit to the point where it's automatic. We will always have to make the decision to do the habit. So the easiest way for us to do this is to make the decision-making process as easy as possible. So for instance, having a capsule wardrobe is going to be easier than having 100,000 shirts that you can pick and choose from and have decision fatigue before you've even gotten dressed. Number 4, that's number 3. Number 4 is finding your community. It's hard to make friends as an ADHDer, let alone as an adult. So don't make it harder by trying to be friends with people who just don't get you. Between rejection sensitivity and out of sight, out of mind, we tend to forget we even have friends. Not to mention that our communication style as neurodivergents is very different than that of a neurotypical. Not less than, just different. So finding people with like minds is only going to make your life richer. There are some great online communities, such as ADHD for Smartass Women, which is a Facebook group and a podcast. There's also the Like Your Brain community by Mattia Moray. These are all going to be in the description, so don't try to remember them now. There'll be tons of resources on there. So please don't get overwhelmed. So the 5th thing that I wish I had been told about as a newly diagnosed ADHDer is body doubling. Body doubling is the idea that you have another person in the room with you, because we struggle with task initiation and overwhelm when a task has more than a few steps. Having somebody else in the room with us can really help us with our accountability. This can be done by simply going to a coffee shop to work or a library, But there are also lots of apps so you can do it with somebody online. There's GoFlow, Flowclub, Phone, and Focusmate. All of these, I've heard great things. Almost all of them offer either a free service or they have some sort of like free trial at the beginning. So look into those. They can be hugely beneficial just to have somebody there to hold you accountable and get you through those sort of administration tasks or whatever you're struggling with to do. Number 6 is rest. Rest more. Neurodivergent people are so much more likely to experience burnout than neurotypical people. It's so common that most of us don't even realize that we're experiencing burnout. We just think that's just life. But as neurodivergents, we are experiencing so much more sensational input, meaning we hear, smell, see, take in more information than the average person. And all that extra information needs extra processing, which means that we need to give ourselves rest. Another thing that we should know is that our sleep cycle is going to be different than that of a neurotypical. Some of us are absolutely night owls, and we do better if we stay up until 1 a.m. and we wake up at 9. So you really need to experiment to figure out what works best for you, but just know that you are going to need more sleep than the average person, and that's okay. Number 7 is befriend your alarms and your reminders and your visual cues. Stop relying on your memory when you know that your memory isn't very good. This sort of sets us up in the sort of self-fulfilling prophecy where we know we're going to forget, but we don't allow ourselves the tools that we could use to help us remember. We rely on our brain to do the work that we know that it struggles to do, and then we beat ourselves up afterwards when we inevitably do forget to do the thing that we knew we were going to forget in the first place. So if this is a struggle for you, do everything you can. There are no rules. If you need to put a sign on your bathroom mirror telling you to brush your teeth, then do that. Brushing your teeth because you have a poster is better than forgetting to brush your teeth for a week because you don't want to put up a poster. And this doesn't matter whether it's brushing your teeth or remembering your friends' birthdays or your anniversary or whatever. Whatever you need to do to keep those things like tracked without putting that pressure on your brain, that's going to help you use the brain power you have for more important things. And quite frankly, remembering little bits and pieces is so not worth it when you could be using your brain to, I don't know, make YouTube videos. Number 8 is get educated. And I know you're probably watching this video going, well, I'm getting educated right now. And that's a great start. Don't stop watching. However, the more you know, the more power you have. Knowledge is power. And for us, knowledge about self is incredibly empowering. There are so many incredible books out there for you to read on the subject, but my personal favorites are ADHD 2.0 by Dr. Ted Hallowell and Divergent Mind by Jenara Nerenberg. Both of these books are really going to give you some insight into the positive aspects of ADHD. Number 9 is be creative. And I don't mean be arts and craftsy, although, I mean, we are in my art studio, so I'm not the person to tell you to not be arts and crafty. However, what I'm talking about is creative problem solving. The more out of the box your brain is, the more out of the box your solutions need to be. So we need to get creative to figure out what works best for you. For instance, for me, I cannot look at a calendar without getting overwhelmed. You know, all those little boxes for the whole month, totally overwhelming. If I needed to rely on that, I would not get anything done. And I didn't for years. Now I use a week at a glance calendar. It's literally just the week. And, I have my 7 days to fill out, and I've broken it down so I have all the things that I need to do in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. And I usually fill it out for at least like 4 weeks ahead of time. So I have my monthly calendar. I just don't have to see it all at once. And honestly, if I had to figure out how to force my brain to accept a month-long calendar, I probably would still be struggling. This is not something that comes naturally to me, and that's okay. I don't need it to work naturally for me. I needed to figure out solutions that worked for me, and that needed creativity. Number 10, and probably the most important, is give yourself grace. Being divergent on any level is going to have its challenges. So don't make one of those challenges be how you feel about yourself, right? Get rid of that shame. If you experience that shame, don't shame yourself further for feeling that shame. Treat yourself like a gentle parent. Love yourself, give yourself kindness. It's the least you can do in a world that is literally trying to make you be less than. You don't need to make yourself feel less than on top of that. So that's it, folks. That is 10 things that I wish that I had known when I first was diagnosed with ADHD. I hope it was helpful. And if you like this video, then please subscribe to my channel. It's brand new. Like, share, all of those good things. Thanks for watching. Bye.